ahead.
You're on.
Hello world. Welcome aboard, all you ground troops spinning around smartly on the planet. We've been with you over 12 years now, and TJMRCT Radio is back on the airwaves, but we're actually doing a live podcast, and we're really wanting to keep it launched on Fridays for all those people that have nothing better to do than to listen to our weirding ways of people coming together, like the High Council that we know we are. Oh, gosh, that was loud.
Sorry.
So with that, I'm going to introduce my co-host, Janet Lessin in Hawaii and Maui, where things have been happening. And we have Brad Markus here from Chicago area that is very blooming up there with various Ascension Masters. But Janet, go ahead and say a little bit about where you are and what's been going on with you. And we can do it a little bit with Brad because
we're drowning over here. We've had a mini apocalypse and people lost their homes. They fell into the rivers and we had everything flooding and we don't have any water. Send water. I mean, I'm thinking of doing a GoFundMe, but I don't want to get. Yeah, I need to get another water tank because today's my last day of water.
Wow.
My guy said your tank's empty, so now I'm scrambling. If anybody knows of anybody that can deliver water or some kind of charity or grant or something.
In Wailuku, way above Wailuku in the mountains. There
in the mountains, the foothills of the West Maui Mountains.
Flooded away.
Foothills of a mountain that is called, the Hawaiians call my mountain the home of the gods. Ooh. And Maui was a god. And so the god Maui founded Maui, the island.
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Sasha, Dr. Lessin, who is taking a nap right now, has written a story about Maui on AnkiSpeaks.com. If you go there and you can spend your whole life on that website because Dr. Lessin writes every single night and posts articles, and so am I. We're just like, we're retired, and so what do? We write and we do podcasts. And
what's happening with Brad over there? Brad,
what's going on with you? Wait, look at us. Where are you? There you are.
Yeah.
It's just a light in the way.
Oh yeah. It's right in the camera.
Yeah, that's perfect. Except you're looking down
at us. Alien event this past weekend.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was a great event. I loved it.
Brad Markus of Chicago. Where were you born, and tell us about your life as a human, and then we'll get to you as a high channel and the galactic connections to all the federations that a lot of people don't even know exist for near-death, out-of-body experiencers, astral people, and people like you in the Ascension Masters. So Brad Markus, I know you come and go from the temple over there, but where were you born? Tell us a little bit about your education and how you got into your spiritual path or your journey. All right, the journey.
It is a journey. It's like life is a journey, and you don't know what to expect next. But when I was a kid, I didn't feel like I fit in. So I could relate to being different all my life. But I always liked to talk to people. Yep. So I was born in Chicago. Yep. But we lived in the suburbs of Chicago. We didn't live in the city, but
outside of Chicago, huh?
Yeah, just the south suburb.
Was it Bloomington or not that far south?
No,
No,
like
wait,
right
real close.
outside of the city, like a mile outside of
Oh,
the city border.
oh my goodness! So you're right downtown Chicago, huh?
Well,
Where
no,
they?
I don't know if you know Chicago. It's the
Yeah.
south end. It's not downtown. There's like we were 147th Street, and
Okay.
downtown is like zero. So
Right.
it's quite a
Michigan Avenue.
yeah, I love Michigan Avenue. I'm down there a lot.
Yeah, I used to.
I didn't come down there until after I was a teenager.
Yeah.
My parents really didn't go downtown. If they did, I don't remember
Oh,
it.
what'd they do?
Oh yeah, my
What were
dad
they
worked
doing
for,
to?
huh? What were they doing? What?
They were
Yeah,
protective of you. They
protection.
wouldn't let you go into town. Is that what you're saying?
You had several.
We did not go downtown. Is like the downtown, like with all the big buildings. We didn't
Yeah.
go there
Right.
much as a family. Not that
Oh,
I remember.
What
We
year were
went
you
other
born?
places.
Because in the 60s, we were free range chickens. And I was getting on board the trolley. They had trolleys back then. And I'm surprised we all didn't die because they just opened the door. They said, go out and play. And I was going on a trolley to downtown Pittsburgh when I was probably 10 years old, and just by
Oh.
myself or with my girlfriend. And so,
well, how did you get on your journey, Brad?
yeah, you're on your journey.
Well, like I'm saying, I felt different when I was young, and I was always
Okay.
looking at the stars in the sky. So,
Oh, uh,
and like
so that brought you
when I
to.
was a teenager, I started listening to certain music that reminded me of celestial things or royal things, something like the group Yes. You all know that group?
Yes, yes, we know.
Yeah.
Yes,
They
Yes.
have
Yes.
like a regal, they kind of mix classical music with rock, and it makes you think of another world. It
Yeah.
it has an elevated style, and those are the type of things I started to get my own identity. That's because when I was a little kid, I didn't really like what everyone was doing. I got a lot of kids didn't really get along with me, so
Do
because
you
I was
remember the?
different.
Do you remember the '70s with
Oh,
Aquarius?
well,
Aquarius,
yeah, I like that song, but I
Aquarius.
didn't understand the cosmic meaning of it back then. So
right.
Oh,
I didn't, but I started to hear jazz or rock groups with a kind of a focus on like fantasy or otherworld or stars and planets. So
was that in the '70s or '80s?
yeah,
Since we're
yeah,
discussing
70.
music,
Yeah,
'70s. You're in
because
'70s.
I graduated from high school in 1979, so that was in the
Oh,
70s on into the
Yeah,
early 1980s. So I
oh,
feel like that kind of anchored my galactic consciousness, but I didn't know anything about like extraterrestrial beings landing on
oh,
planet Earth. I didn't know
oh.
about that, but I knew some stories like I would read Lord of the Rings or Dune or
Mm,
The Wizard of Earthsea, like fantasy novels. Well, about other worlds like lost continents like Atlantis.
yeah.
I kind of knew about those things a little bit. And
What
then
age did you? Go ahead.
I went to school for psychology, so and I kind of was interested in parapsychology, supernatural things. But then in the early 1980s, I started to go to church. So I was influenced by the biblical worldview, and it seemed like the biblical worldview didn't really honor things like your past life or ancient cultures. They mainly were talking about Jesus and his kingdom of God, the kingdom of God through Jesus. So part of me could relate to that, but I always thought, well, I felt like I was reincarnated and I felt connected to ancient cultures, but they didn't believe that. That was like, oh, this is not a biblical doctrine. So,
Oh,
yeah, but
and
it
that,
was originally in the Bible, and they took out reincarnation. And you can go
maybe,
through Edgar Casey's information that he outlined that they changed his nation, and there are still remnants of reincarnation in the Bible, references to
yeah.
it.
I believe it's in a lot of the lost books, the ones that aren't included.
Right.
Apocrypha, or there's the other name. What's the lady? She published a book like that. She published a book of
Yeah,
Bible.
there's several lost books of the Bible, and
Yeah,
they have apparently all the disciples had books, and they only focused
yeah,
on a few of them. So
yeah.
I read that about 20, 30 years ago. There's a whole story about how Jesus went to Egypt and he made some clay figures and then he animated them. And he got in trouble with his dad. His dad came and grabbed him by his ear and took him home and said, "You can't be doing magic out in the middle with all these kids." And it's a wonderful. I probably have it and see this. Well, there's a shelf beyond the dragons, and it says full of. I have thousands of books in my library and then back in the office. So I have the lost books of the Bible. And Joseph Arimathea wrote a book, and Joseph Arimathea went to England around, around 25 or 20, very early on.
Right.
And he started to establish the Church of Jesus in England 2,000 plus years ago. So all this stuff is in there. So
music and books.
Yeah.
I think that's normal. We hear music that affects us, and we disclose to ourselves our higher being, but not knowing unless it's in rhythm, sound, and vibration. And then we start looking in libraries and books. And so this is a spiritual world, and it is said that we are spiritual beings having a human experience.
Right.
Exactly. Yes, you're hitting on it, because the other dimensions and the other planes, they're just as real as ours, but they're on a higher frequency. And they do have forms according to what people have said.
Yeah, a lot of people believe like us now, but what was the magic trigger for your mind to get you from music and books and in the 70s or 80s, or was it the 2000s? Because I was very fortunate to have life taken from me and come back to earth several times, but I didn't know what it meant until Buddhism was bodhisattva. But I didn't feel so spiritual. I mean, I always went to church and I did study all the world religions, and I love music. And Jane and I have had Stephen Halpern, the godfather of New Age music, on with us. And he was there with me in the 80s at a gold pyramid. So I was blessed and ordained in churches as a full-blown minister in several.
I was at a party here in Maui, and I'm kind of sitting down on the floor, and I go over to somebody, they're in a chair or something. "What's your name?" "Stephen Halpern." It's like, really? They're just at a party in Maui.
And she had a musician on one of my, Janet and I met, by the way, Brad, in 93, I believe, through people synergistically involved, seminars, and psychic. A friend of mine named Robin had in Waikiki all the psychics. So there's a path that we're tracking. And where did you go ever to any kind of psychic or occult bookstores, or read Helen Blavatsky or Theosophy, or get into any of that?
I major in it now. I'm always talking about her.
Oh my God. Oh my gosh. Talk about it being psychic. There's Helen Blavatsky right there.
I have a lot of her books here. But back then, I might have heard a little bit of it in the 1970s. I did know about spiritual things, like the Ascended Masters, which I've came back to. I heard about it right when I went to college, and I started studying it. But when I got into the Bible study, they were saying, "Oh no, that's false doctrine." So I kind of left it, but now I'm back in it. So
let's look this to a panel here. How did you start? What was your early upbringing? I was raised Presbyterian. And when I was 13, because of hypocrisy, like the people were just Sunday Christians, they weren't really Christian all week long. Not the understanding I had about being kind. They just seemed to be mean in the week, and then the weekends, it's like I'm going to church, I'm going to be spiritual. So I asked my mother when I was like 13 years old. I said, "Mom, I don't want to go to church anymore. I want to find God in my own path." And I thought she was going to get angry. And she said, no, you go ahead. So I started researching Eric von Daniken. So this is the 60s, and Edgar Casey. And then we had Ruth Montgomery. That was in the 80s. Anyway, we had all these books, and there was a very small section in the bookstore.
Roberts. What was her first name? Jane Roberts?
Jane Roberts. I couldn't identify with Jane because they kept having her coughing and smoking. I was like,
same thing with there was several psychics that they could be psychic and smoke and drink, and I couldn't get that. We were very pure, and Janet, I was Baptist in the Mormon church, and they just didn't do any of that.
So you went the Mormon path, and now my sister's
Mormon.
Believes
above. They believe in space and other planets, and that they'll sooner or later
there you go.
inherit that. Oh, Ruth Montgomery is on your path. That's amazing how we can synchronize all the things.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
I loved her. She used to write to me, Brad.
She wrote to me too. She would write, if you wrote to her, she would write back. It was very personal. It was like, oh my goodness, Ruth Montgomery wrote to me.
We'd read her book, and she'd send personal notes, and she'd send it on yellow, like legal pad paper.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you remember that? And that was amazing that she told me I was.
All that
she told me she was the first one that told me I was from another place. In space.
I can't remember what she said to me, but I remember writing to her. So you went to the. What was the first church you went to, Theresa?
Oh, I was born in the church, Janet.
But which one? The Baptist church? A Baptist.
I'm born Southern Baptist, honey.
What was your
Brad? Louisiana.
Brad, what was your first church? What was your first church?
Catholic, but we didn't Catholic.
All right. And I was Presbyterian. So we're across the board. We had a Catholic, a Presbyterian,
Mormon, LDS,
Baptist.
Episcopalian. I was finally Episcopalian minister. That I was Universal Life.
What have you gleaned from all this? All three of you. Let's all share. From starting with a religious background and then ending up with an extraterrestrial background. What did you glean from that? Yeah, go ahead.
Can you see that one?
Oh yeah,
that's the one we use online. Universal Life Church.
I heard of that.
Yeah, and they're in Modesto. There's two of them. There's a long history behind them.
Heard of that.
Yeah, it's online, and it's how to be a minister, and they'll send you whatever you need, or you can study through them. But anytime there was a minister this or a minister that, since I was a psychic making money at the time, but not for the money, I charged by the minute. I said, what we know is from God or your higher self. Mm-hmm. So that's the way I always felt like, because people would come to me and want my attention. So I started doing tarot cards, which some people thought
that too.
So
I have that too.
There are archetypes that really helped me through the years to realize that we are ancients, and a lot of people keep coming back over and over. So it just depends on your filters, what tools you use, and what's on your path. Now, Sylvia Brown was on my path. Was she on yours, Janet? She smoked.
Yeah.
Be on TV.
I felt like I had to cough just reading about them coughing. I was like, oh my God.
I used to have all her books, and I was just really. Now that was a whole wave of people that worked with her and other people on those books. But yeah, once you get off the reading path and start doing, that was hard for me. I had people come in the 80s and tell me, okay, you've stayed enough, you need to start doing it. I didn't know what they meant, but it was me. Do your work, do work in the ministry, do work in the church, do your music. So I did music. I was a singer songwriter, and I
was in a band. I was the lead female vocal, and I got out in front of people and I sang, but I've lost my voice.
Yeah, me too. Got my throat right there. You can see. I got titanium. I'm a cyborg. Well, let's get back to Brad. Brad,
you're off the camera.
He's looking for his books, I think.
Oh, no.
Okay.
What are you doing? We want to know. So,
I was
Brad,
writing down that you were a singer, Janet.
Oh yeah. My husband at the time
pretty voice.
Went in and got into a fight with the leader of the band, and they kicked me out, and I was brokenhearted. That was the road not traveled. But that's okay.
There's a book for you, The Road Less Traveled. Have you read that?
Yeah, the
It's
road
called The Road
less
Less Traveled.
Yeah,
Now
that
look
was a
that one up,
series.
Brad. That was really good. The Road Less Traveled.
And
And
what
then a
about
lot of people back in the day in the 60s, they got hold of that book. What was
the Way of the Peaceful Warrior?
that's one. I read that one too.
Richard Bach, Illusion and One.
And he
Oh.
wrote that the one about the bird or whatever was on there.
Oh,
Everybody,
Jonathan Livingston Seagull. Yeah.
yeah. And
Oh,
we
that's
started,
famous.
yeah, very. So,
Write these
well,
down. These are the
yeah.
classics, and they started us all on our. So what I used to do is go to the. They eventually had bigger bookstores and libraries, and I'd go like this, and I'd go, what am I supposed to read next, right? And then
Had to
I
jump
close
out
my
at
eyes,
you.
and my hand would fall on it, and I go, or if I had a question, I'd ask a question, and then I pull the book and I open it, and then I open my eyes and go, there's it, exactly what I needed. Did you ever do that, Theresa?
I did. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. You just
Just like
looking
in the
for an
Bible, you
answer,
can scry using the Bible like you do a
right? You
crystal
just
or use a map.
looking for
Yeah,
it.
whatever. It's a feeling, and a lot of people. That's what I used to teach because so many people did that. We're all psychic. Just I was trying to help people get tuned into what they are to a higher self, so
Right.
they would understand. So channeling, Brad, when channeling came around in the 80s, of course, Shirley MacLaine gets the most,
Oh yeah, I read all
or
Shirley
getting that on
MacLaine.
television and making a
As
movie. She was
soon as that
brave,
her books
very
came out, I
brave.
had the latest one. She was great.
Shirley MacLaine brought all that channeling out to other people.
Uh-huh.
It was popular, but a lot of people didn't know about it.
Right.
And of course,
Was
Brad,
she actually channeling herself? She was, or
No, she was talking about spirituality and
oh,
consciousness. She
yeah.
had all this money because she was an actress, right? And she would work long enough to gather money to just go travel the world. And she would go off on her own. She didn't have anybody traveling with her. She would go to the mountains of Tibet, and she just
it's on
trusted
her
wherever she
path,
went.
spiritual
I
path.
read
Yeah,
that.
she trusted wherever she went that the people would be there to support her, and she always came back alive, right? And she was
Yeah.
going in dangerous places.
So she wrote books that became movies, and it was amazing how much support. Now that sort of split the world, at least in America, I guess. I don't know about the world, but at least in the USA back in the day, because we're all readers, writers, and kept up with books. And another person that sort of split the world was Whitley Strieber. He
Oh
was
yeah.
hot,
Oh, yeah.
even though he was in paperbacks, right? Yeah,
I
Oh,
remember
I know.
seeing that, and I didn't know much about aliens at that
yeah,
time, but I remember seeing it.
What
yeah. A
did you
lot of
think
people.
when you saw the alien on the front cover of Communion? What did you think, Theresa?
Oh, me?
Yeah, what did you think?
I was like, oh, okay. Yeah.
I've seen
No
those
big deal.
guys.
It
I've
was
seen
it
those
was
guys.
fine. Yeah, it's fine for me. But I just was what I was observing how people would uh, adapt, and because there was a wave there. What is that picture you show us,
Oh,
Brad, of that
is that
face?
Oh,
a
it's
Extraterrestrial,
yeah, it's one
Blippi?
of those. Guess who made those?
Oh, that woman Janet, the
Cynthia
famous.
Crawford?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay,
that's
wow. I
Janet's
want to
girl.
share a
Because
Whitley story before we go too far past that.
I
I
want to
was
hear it.
reading Communion, and it talked about how when you have ET contact, you have sometimes electronic interference, like your lights will flash and
Oh
things will
yeah,
go
that's
on.
common. It
And
does to me.
I got to that part. I got tired. I had to get up and go to work next day. So I put the communion down on my end table, went to sleep. And between 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning, our TV down in we didn't have a TV upstairs. We had it in the basement in the family room, came on full blast. And it just like, we woke up. What's that? And I told my husband, I am not going down in that basement to turn that off. And I made my husband at the time go down and turn, it wasn't this husband, another husband, turn that off. But it was like how that happened right when I read that chapter. And I said, somebody's trying to communicate something to me because it never happened before, never happened since, never happened until this day that the TV comes blasting on by itself. So, anyway,
Well, we've got
so
up disclosure by all higher selves for contact. And Brad, you had something. Now, are you on the path where you've already done channeling or gone through like Eckankar or any formal training at the temple there with the Ascended Masters? Because the thing that woke me up to another place that I wanted to know more about was the White Brotherhood years and years ago in the
Right.
early 80s. I think it may have been 70s
What
because
was your
I had
contact
throat
with the White
cards.
Brotherhood?
Oh, many,
Well,
many
because
ways.
yeah, I want to hear, not Janet, TJ. How did you first find out about the Great White Brotherhood?
Yeah, that's what I asked. Go ahead.
I was having all these psychic awakenings happening and I was following them. I was a mother with children, but I didn't understand since I died with Gigi and I was awake when they cut me open to take my last baby because I had placenta previa, but I lost all the blood in my body, which Janet knows about. So I was awakened into this other reality. But when had died before that in the second grade, I had experienced beings. I call them angels, but without wings. And so when I went to Europe, I realized the wings were strictly an artist's rendition of those higher beings. So
Mhm.
I had all these ideas in my head from death and dying and being on the other side. And who are these beings I was talking to? And how could I see gold beings or blue beings? But then I had them coming down literally and taking me, and it took a long time to get there. But I was taken when I was in the second grade when I went to third grade Hawaii. Not way before I went to Hawaii. Hawaii was
Yeah.
way down my path. I didn't get
Right.
there until my 30s. It was in my 20s. Or
Hmm.
wait, no, I was in second grade and third grade. So I
Yeah,
was
you
taken
were young. I know your
like Alan
story.
Clark. That story, if you've ever seen that with
Right.
Steven Spielberg.
Taken. Yeah.
Yeah, but I was having Brad, I was having all these aha moments, our deja vu, our synchronicities that didn't seem like anybody else was having them. And of course, I would ask people different things, but it's that same feeling you get in a library that you go and you know you're searching for something that you don't know yet, and
Hmm.
you'll find it, and maybe in the occult metaphysical store books. So that led me on those, and it led me to museums, and I started studying the Jane, Jane, or Jain. I
Yeah,
spent so
Jainism. Yeah, I don't know a lot about it. Is that in Japan?
uh, Jainism. Look, I tell
Well,
people I went to Chicago into the museums because you asked how I did it. So
oh yeah, they have
Yeah,
wonderful
I'll tell you how I
museums
did it.
there. Yeah.
I went to the
Oriental
museums in
Institute.
Chicago, and you lived there, and they awakened my mind. Absolutely. So between the museums and the Ancient of Days, and then the mystery things coming to me, and then I would just know things, and I attribute it to after a while. People say, well, "Did you die or something?" And I'd go, "Yeah, I think so." When I was little, and I never equated going to White Sands, New Mexico, and meeting with these extraterrestrials, which I did, but it took me a long time to wake up and admit that. So uh, the White Brotherhood was all around me all my life. So to me, it's the higher selves, and we channel our higher guides. So I believe that we're always channeling up with intelligence and what our minds can accept, because I got to a point where I couldn't take anymore, and I had shut it off for a while. And I'll never do that again. That was like asking God to
Hmm.
take away your Holy Spirit that guides you,
Oh,
which you never want to
right.
do. Once you've got the Holy Spirit, never have it. I tried that, and it was like living in hell because there was nothing
Yeah.
there anymore. But I had gotten so full. So what God, if you want to say, or source taught me was that we're little critters down here learning about ourselves. But you can get
Right.
so much in the mind, you've got to let it go for a while and absorb it
Hmm.
and assimilate it, and then you can take more. So that's how I grew up to be in my 70s. I hope to be in my hundreds. Oh, I hope we're okay. We
I
Yeah.
paused
hear
on
Yeah.
for a
You
everything.
were
minute, or
you
at
were
least
in
on
and
my
out.
end. Well,
So I looked up
that
Jainism
feeling,
for you. If you want to
that
read it
feeling.
in the, I put
Okay,
Jainism in the chat. If you want to read that, because you wanted to know what it is. I did the
in the
research
chat.
while you were.
Oh, on the
Yeah,
bottom there.
Jainism is an ancient
All mine
Indian
are talking about.
religion. Yeah, it's an ancient Indian religion is
Indian.
centered on ahimsa, non-violence towards all living beings. It teaches that souls can move toward liberation through right faith, right knowledge, and right conduct. It is traditionally associated with the Tirthankras, especially my apologies, Mahavir, and it
Mahavira.
does not center on a single creator God in the way some other religions do. So I've been talking about ahimsa, do no harm. And so the answer for all this violence in the world is adopting the practice of ahimsa, do no harm. So I do what I can, even down to like insects, but there's some insects that bite me, and it's like, okay, I'm not going to let you bite me because I have boundaries when it comes to everything. But as far as like humans, I do what I can to do no harm, to think no bad thoughts, and do no harm, and come from becoming peaceful within myself. So I wanted to say about the White Brotherhood, and then I want to know, Brad, more about your association with the White Brotherhood. So I was attending Penn State University, and I had a best female friend, and I've lost her. Her name was Missy. That's her nickname. But I don't think she's alive anymore. I can't find her anywhere. It's sad. But anyway, she was born in '64, and I was born in '54, so she was younger than me. And she said, "Well, I found out about this meditation class, and do you want to go?" Yes. So they were practicing the meditation with the White Brotherhood, and so every week we listened to these White Brotherhood tapes at the weekly meeting, and then we would talk about what came up. And there was about, I don't know, half dozen to a dozen people. And then they said you have to every night meditate for 15 minutes. Just go somewhere, meditate, and try to do it at the same time every day. Doesn't have to be. Mine was at like 6 to 7 p.m. at night. And after a year of that, I got a download, and I got 4 past lives in one night. And I only stopped having the download because of the alarm went off. And then I went to work at Penn State University. Well, I had a best friend named Bud. He was a very tall man, an older man. He was just my best friend, and he was the only one else I could find that was talking about consciousness and spirituality. So, and he worked in engineering, and I worked in education department. And I said, "You got to come over." And so I was having a DMT activation. Do you know what that is, either of you?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
dimethyltryptamine, of course.
Yeah, my DMT was activated in my crown chakra and third eye chakra, and I was in an altered state of consciousness. And I said, "There's something going on." And so he helped me because he was a child. He was an adult in the '60s, and he knew about all the drugs that the counterculture experimented with, the LSD and stuff like that. He said, "It's okay. You're just having, you're kind of tripping." I said, "Well, I'm able to function, but I felt like I was operating with myself above my head, like from my higher self. I felt like I was a puppet of my higher self. My higher self had now taken over and was operating my body and helping me, do things like my job." And so it was like I had a Kundalini activation. Do you know what that is, Brad?
Oh yeah, I've talked about that sometime, and Elena mentions it in her book about the serpents and the energy in your body.
Kundalini.
Yeah.
It's something to do with coordinating your energy centers.
Your chakras,
Right.
yeah.
So when we come into the physical body,
Alignment.
the Kundalini is part of the essential. It's like your toroid, your inner body, and it coils at your base chakra. And when it activates, it tries to come up through your chakras. And if you have a block, like in your base chakra or your belly chakra, your heart chakra, it tends to stop there. But if you do your emotional and psychological work on where your chakras are not clear, and you eventually clear everything, then it'll go out your crown chakra, and you'll reconnect to source and higher consciousness and everything there is and it was ever will be, and you'll be in an enlightened state of consciousness. It's like samadhi. And so that would be ideal. And a lot of people have it spontaneously, but it involved becoming a clear channel, a clear vessel, and being kind, loving, spiritual, and conscious, and stop acting out and projecting your your inner child and your wounds on other people. You have to take responsibility. This is my stuff, my shit, and I'm going to do the work on it and clear everything. And then you can somewhat like, I'm going to become a child of God, or I'm going to channel my Christ consciousness. However you symbol it is fine. But that's the whole answer to this disclosure and all these wars, is if each and every one of us would take personal responsibility and do our inner work, we can become a conscious, civilized civilization. And then the Federation will say, come on board. It's just like that episode of Star Trek, First Contact, where they were looking for, what was it, warp drive, right? But it's not warp drive. It's looking for the light to start shining from each and every one of us individually and collectively. So there's a critical mass point, right? Who is that does critical mass? Anyway, that's part of critical mass, or
physics.
Yeah, it's part of physics. And they'll see our light and they'll go, well, it's time. It's time for them to get the information. So what's blocking disclosure is us. So start doing your work.
You could have been at the conference helping me with my talk.
Oh yeah.
We're very old, ancient, heavy, done all the studies of all the chakra balancing, all the Kundalini experiences, and all the masters, just like the Beatles and all this. We grew up with all that, studying it, and so it becomes part of our culture. But
in some way I have, because I first heard about Ascended Masters in 1979, and I would do some research.
Good.
I might not have been as thorough as you guys, but I felt like I was already an advanced soul. Like,
yeah,
I feel like the idea of the White Brotherhood, the Brotherhood of Masters.
White Brotherhood, yeah. And they're not necessarily white. That's something that's in the comments right now.
That just means pure love.
Pure.
Right,
yeah.
right. It's not
good for you, Brad. Yeah. Now listen, can y'all say the comments? Because I asked her, Antiques is still here, but she said, why does it seem that all the black people believe that they're the chosen ones?
Oh, here he is.
And
right.
And that they're like the Anunnaki. The black people would come, but yet she says, why the white people and the 80-year-old artificial Israelites claiming to be the ones from the Bible? But then they say many good questions, we'll address them. And
so I like that because I've studied about black Hebrew.
Well, there's different galaxies, and there are different beings with different melanin. And so they could be DNA, but nobody's proven that, folks. So the stories are of the culture that won the wars. So if you have anything that didn't get burned up or under a volcano that made it, it's because people put them usually in fire clay tablet jars and kept them. And that's why the people of the Israelites, neophytes, whatever, used to have some relation to their culture. It's really art, culture, education, science, technology, engineering, and I say folk life now. But at the time, the culture was our belief systems, and it was hand mouth, because we didn't write. And do you know, people where I lived in Kentucky for 20 some odd years, a lot of people still can't read and write. And now the kids don't even learn to write like we did. They print because of the computers. So things change we say every 20 years, as those of us that are the archivists are the flame keepers. And this person wanted to know why. She says, how about we
go around and each of us answer? And I would like Brad to ask the question from the and then
read the whole thing from beginning to end.
And then Brad, you be the first to answer. And then we'll go round table on that one. Go ahead. Read it again.
You want me to read the first one?
The question. What was your question?
The first one was, can you guys explain to me why white folks seem to be the most contacted abductees? All right. But then he or she follows it up saying, I believe in the black aliens who seeded the planet, progenitors to whom you believe are the God in the Bible, but never came back to contact us blacks. So apparently, I think to contact blacks. but it says it just seems odd, right? So, how do you want to handle the next one? Thank you.
Well, there are, first off, there are some Black Americans or Black people or dark skinned people that have been contacted by extraterrestrials.
Yeah.
For instance, there was a lady, Raynetta Jones, I think was her name, and she was in Secret Space Program because she was interviewed by James Rink a few times. And she passed away like a couple months before he did.
Oh, wow.
Ah.
I didn't know that. I think I remember her. Yeah.
But that's kind of a complex issue and question. First off, there's a musician I like, Sun Ra, and he said he was abducted by extraterrestrials. He was very dark skinned, and his mission was to play his music, but to let people know about the reality of other planets, other dimensions, and space. So, and but it does seem like mostly the people talking about extraterrestrial contact are people that are white or light skinned. Not always, but it happens more often. It seems to happen more often. I feel like
go ahead,
maybe,
Brad.
for instance, the Dogon, it has something to do with Sirius star system. And
The
there might be some other. Yep. There were a lot of black races or dark races who actually saw white skinned beings in their culture.
Yeah,
and they thought they were gods or divine beings. There was a guy, Credo Mutwa, in South Africa.
Yeah, I remember Credo.
He talked a lot about that. Some of the Africans saw white beings. It's a very complex issue.
Here,
you mentioned.
Let's go round table. So do you want to go next, or do you want? I've got to answer the part of it. First of all, DNA doesn't always manifest. We all have black, as we all have every race in us. Okay, if you go back far enough up your ancestry tree, I found black. Chinese and Peruvian, and because we've been explorers and we've been going around. And what do humans do when they meet each other? They mate. They have children. They transport them. They bring back slaves, or they bring back wives, or whatever. So don't get yourself delusional that I'm all white, because if you go back in your tree, you're going to find everybody. And sometimes
we're mixed now. No, my family is all mixed Mexican.
Yeah, we're all mixed.
They say Mexican and they're black. And they say black. So
right.
I have a question.
Wait. Let me get my answer. Then we can go. And then the Anunnaki DNA, and they were down. They have a very small population because they almost extincted themselves from their stupidity of war and destroying their atmosphere. So when they came here, their DNA is very powerful. And Enki would come down and he did the original genetic experiments, and they created Homo sapiens. And then he did another influx of his DNA into our species, and they were Homo sapiens. And periodically he's known to come down and mate again because their DNA is very powerful, and they do track it. And that's your gods and your kings and your queens. The royalties have strong DNA from the Anunnaki.
Well, they always win.
They always win, and they are part of it's a breeding program. But now we have lots of different aliens that are breeding. Part of it's because they've extincted themselves. They've done similar things, and they're going. The Greys might be us in the future. We don't know. But we have time travel. We have everything. So, but they're I've met many. Black and other races. I had a lovely friend, Blue Cloud, and he was a full-on contactee, and he was Native American and part Mexican. So that's a myth. Just because you're not hearing about it doesn't mean this is happening. So that's
right.
So the Anunnaki who came down here, because of the Nori stories and the tall whites and Eisenhower got contacted, they were predominantly white-looking, I'd say, but that doesn't say that they didn't have other races in their DNA, but they were able to breed with us. And when you have a species that can copulate and create children naturally, we are all the same species. So we are the same species as the Anunnaki, but there are stories of others. Like I was tracking down BAU, And when they found the ruins and the images of her, she's reptilian, but she's nursing a baby reptilian at her breast. And she was she had mated with Anu and created, her vow was created by mating with a reptilian. So we might be the same species as reptilians because they can mate without having genetic intervention and procreate, and then their children can have children. So we need to look at this whole picture differently about races or even species and even extraterrestrial. So apparently when we start having these in-person meetings with extraterrestrials, we got to treat them as equals, and they got to treat us equal because we're all equal at the highest level. Next, Theresa, your turn.
Oh, well, I said what I believe. I believe we were all seated. It didn't matter what color you are because of the melanin. That's all it is melanin in your skin. And the ones that were closer to the sun and planets with a sun, because a lot of them don't have them. But you'll find out even over in Norway, they have those that are, and I learned this when my daughter died in Moffitt Cancer Center. They were tracking her alien DNA because Gigi, my daughter, had an alien DNA in her that they couldn't find out where she was from. And I was like, well, I had her. I know where she came from out of me. I was there. I was alive. So, I mean,
yeah, but you were seeded by an extraterrestrial.
Well, that's,
you think, yeah. See,
whether they think or not, but I told them the truth. But
right.
The Nordics, I learned from the nurses there, they were Nordics. Some of them had, they have their way and their culture in Norway. And some of them that live in the mountains were white skinned, light hair. And those that lived down along the sea were dark. And
right.
They were like Viking, dark people. They have dark hair. So not all Nordics are blonde, blue-eyed.
Blonde, right. Yeah.
They're dark too. So, I learned a lot with my daughter dying of cancer. It's one of the sad things, and my husband. But I've been around a lot of death and dying to know it sometimes gets to me of why am I still here? So I must still have something.
You're not done with your mission.
I still have things I need to do on the planet and helping spread this, even though a lot of people think we're not. Okay. My sisters had turned my back on because I'm going to have surgery really bad. They said, you're a mess. You use the F word several times.
I don't think you have to. Just they said that.
I have 4 pinched nerves, and I made sure today I saw the picture because it took away my legs, and I don't want to be paralyzed.
What do you think caused that, Theresa?
Oh, I saw it. The last surgery
I had.
What caused it?
What causes you to get pinched nerves?
The stuff, well, I'm not a doctor, but the things, the disc that I have, L4, 5, 6, 7, have shifted forward. And so in some of them, because however the fluid's gone. So we think it may be because of the first one I had didn't sort of mess me up or something. But that was
surgery,
so much years ago. But I totally believe in it because I walked like a monkey then. There's something to do with like walking like a monkey and ape.
I can't stand it. I've had all the MRIs and stuff. And nobody, they said everything's fine.
That's
give me the surgery. No, everything's fine. But it's like, why?
Everybody has spinal stenosis if you're like over 30 or 40, and I'm not a doctor. I'm just saying in general speaking, everybody here, y'all, this is our own opinion, but thank you for tuning in and asking good questions.
Well, we should ask. We don't have to accept what doctors say. That's
all right.
I saw for myself because I kept doing exercises, walking, doing all the things. I have a therapist. That thing is fixing the pain, and they won't give you anything anymore for pain. I guess all the people that got started on it, whenever they brought all the drugs in from whatever countries they came into, they act like America didn't make any, but I know some people that did and went to prison over it. So, there's just things, it's terrible what's happened to the United States. You don't even want to get me started there because I'll go on and on about that. But, everywhere, because people want to hear us talk about extraterrestrials. So we have to go to our higher self. We're not just, it takes effort to be more than. and not less than, because you want to fit in with everybody and have the less thans. And I see people on the street, I did today, right downtown Austin. It just breaks my heart. So I know most anybody that's human, that has a soul and has a spirit, can feel what other people feel. And
Right.
extraterrestrial contact is just more, I would say, like that, because we're higher, and we actually feel like we go to a higher place when we sleep, and we go through beta, alpha, theta, delta, gamma, and we get in
Mhm.
that state, and we go demagogic. I think is the way you say it, Brad.
Right.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Demagogic. Janet,
Yeah.
y'all are the psychology majors.
Well, we're in these bodies. It's our skin and encapsulated self sense. So we think that we're not the apparent other. We think we're separate. And when
We
you start
do.
vibrating at a higher level, the it becomes more permeable, and that's when
Yeah.
you start becoming more conscious and empathy. Empathy is a key for consciousness, and so and a lot of people who are like autistic, they can't really understand
Take it
empathy,
all in. Yeah,
and
it's
so they fake it. But you know, you can fake it till you make it. You can start acting kind, loving, and conscious, and maybe you don't get it at first, but then eventually you'll grok it, and you'll start becoming that which you seek to
Oh,
be.
explain Grok. Brad asked me. I used Grok a lot. And I said, like Grok and AI on like X, Twitter, but not that Grok. But
I
tell
believe
him where
that
it stands.
was by Robert Heinlein. Let me see.
Yeah,
Where did grok come from?
yeah.
We
Believe it
of
or
the
not, Brad,
'60s.
we use
Where did
Grok a
grok come
lot,
from?
but
But I think
apparently,
grok was in Heinlein. So there was a stranger in a strange
uh,
land. So let's see if my memory is correct. Stranger in a strange land. It was about the boy that was born. Yep, the boy was born on Mars, and everybody else died. So he was raised by Martians, and it means roughly to understand something deeply and intuitively. And then Grok the AI. So Grok is the AI chatbot, which was taken over by Elon Musk. Okay, so
rightfully
yeah,
so.
Robert Heinlein coined it as a Martian word meaning roughly, yeah, to understand deeply and intuitively. So Grok, and then Spock said, wrote a book or something like Grok Spock, right? Because they went to rhyme with it. So it was fun being a child of the '60s, the '50s and '60s because it was a whole other subculture, and even like you were born in, or you graduated '79, I graduated '72, so I'm 7 years older than you. It was like it becomes another generation almost, and some of the things don't translate. But we baby boomers have to get it out too. But what I like is a lot of the kids are looking at the '60s and '70s and '80s and '90s music, and they're looking at it and go, "Wow," because it seemed like there was a lot of musicians that were coming out and incarnating in that period. It
Yeah.
was
That's how
highly,
Yes seems. The group
what's that?
Yes. The
Yeah,
group
yes.
Yes. That's how
Look,
they are.
Janet, can you see that?
Oh, oh, it was from your daughter's. Yeah,
Yeah, she said
yeah,
my mother started the founder of the Ascension Center organization and the
yeah,
ET
yeah.
Spirit organization. So
Yeah.
yeah, so Brad, I come by this, even my children, now she's passed. That's the one that died. But
Oh,
she taught
wow.
me so she had a certain alien the way they explained it to me was, now this sounds crazy, okay, but this is movies for you. They tell me, do you remember watching? I mean, these were doctors. We had conference rooms full of
Oh,
doctors trying to
goodness.
cure my doctor, would cure her because she was such an amazing child, brilliant. Knew she was from another planet. She was a star baby, a star people, if you want to say.
Right. Our
So
What did
people. I'm
they
looking
say?
at
What
that.
did they say?
they said it was like that a show. They said, "Did you ever watch Stargate?" I was like, "Yeah."
Oh,
And they
That's
said, "Did you ever
important.
remember those little bots that ran around and would get in your system?" That she had one of those. I forgot the quantum physics name for it, but it was an alien intelligence, an AI intelligence
oh,
in her tailbone. It got
Was
it
it
fed.
something that would heal? Was it a
No,
healing thing?
it
no.
killed her. It gave her
Oh, it was a
myelin
negative
syndrome.
entity.
Wait. It
Yeah.
wasn't a negative entity. It was because it was incongruent with her
All
body.
right. Yeah.
And so somehow she might have been implanted with hopes of accelerating her into higher consciousness. And it just, sometimes the aliens make mistakes, right?
She had her tail cut off, though. My Brenda.
Because they're not perfect.
Oh, she had a
They're not
tail. That's right.
perfect.
Hear
Yeah.
this, Mark. Hear this, Brad. Gigi was born with a tail.
Mhm.
Tell us
You
that
know, 3 or
story.
4 people, and my sister was too. They just snap it off. It must be okay. But I didn't get to see her because I didn't bond with her because I couldn't walk or talk or anything. I kept
Right.
dying and coming up out of my body.
What year
So
was she born?
1974, January 27th, 1974, and she passed to the other. I just say the other dimension because people say pass, like, well, where'd they pass to? A completely different radio station or television station,
Right.
another
Vibratory
area,
frequency.
another
Yeah.
dimension, because we have to deal with death, and I've dealt a lot with hospice and people death and dying, as it seems to be my daughters do and my sister do.
Did
So
she come back to you to let you? Did she
she
do
came
any
back.
communication with you?
Yeah, we were both in touch with extraterrestrials, so she learned
Right.
to come in a dream to me, but she told me she
Good.
was okay. She
Tell me
told me
about
she
your dream
would.
with her. What
She
did she
just
say?
came to me one night by my bed. Matter of fact, it was here. She just let
Nice.
me know
What
she was
races did she identify with? What galactic races?
she just says she was a star baby, but
Oh, nice.
she always liked Sirius doggone star, the Sirius Pleiadians,
Oh,
you know,
nice. I
very
believe that.
peaceful. And
That's
she
nice.
knew I had Andromeda, and yeah, people always told me with Ruth Montgomery I was Pleiadian. So that was, I think, the first nice one that came out. People would say that. But, you know, it was a thing back then in the 80s, and it's grown to be quite the thing, is to know your past lives, your soul purpose.
Yeah,
And so
I'm into that.
I taught people that for years and years and years. And finally, Janet and I decided to take it on the road and take it on the radio for years,
Yeah,
didn't
we
we?
did that in
I did
2012.
shows. Oh my
Oh, I
gosh.
didn't know that.
Oh
The
yeah.
details like that. That's
Yeah,
great.
that's how we got known, was out
That's
here
why I
on
feel like
yeah.
I'm drawn to you two because you have this experience that all the people are talking about now, star seeds.
Yeah.
You were
Well,
pioneers of a similar idea.
Dolores Cannon was too, God bless her. She's passed, and so was Carla McCarthy. She was an Episcopalian friend of mine in Kentucky. But
Well, we still have Barbara Lamb. She's still around.
oh,
Oh,
we love
yeah.
Barbara. We've interviewed her too, Brad. You probably
I
can't say
love
anybody that
Barbara.
we 12 years haven't interviewed and had a
When's the
radio
last time you saw Barbara Lamb? Have you seen her in
on
person?
TV or on just in videos.
But Brad, is she at any of your conferences?
Now, I've
No.
never seen her, but I remember her having something to do with what's this lady? It's somebody that she used to talk about hybrid children, and now she doesn't.
Yeah.
And she's from like Sedona or something.
Well, because of
Can't think of her
DNA and the CRISPR, and because it got real, sometimes what we manifest in science fiction and our altered realities starts
Mhm.
becoming more real, and then they don't know if they should talk about it. Or some people that don't want the truth out yet because of patents. Believe it or not, high corporations. Am I overstepping my bounds as a higher being? I I have beings that will correct me and say, "Well, you're an ascended master. You can't." I said, "No, I'm an ascension master. I'm still here, but I'm
Right.
Right,
working on
you
being."
haven't ascended yet, but you're
Yeah, so
working on it.
I say
So
I'm an
that's
ascension master because I wrote about extraterrestrials and guides and spirit and the ascension center, and so I teach ascension, and that's very important. But especially right now, I know that I may or may not live through another surgery at my age. You know, at 80 for sure they won't, but I'm going to be 75.
But
So,
I feel like you can probably do some things where you don't have to have the surgery. Because
well, I've been
sometimes
doing
those surgeries damage you or you won't be able to walk again or something.
yeah, well, that's the reason I will be doing it, says I don't want to spend my life in a wheelchair. So
Right.
mine are very much messed up. They're going to have to have a specialist. The guy I went to see today, he can't touch me because it's so messed up, but they're all off and
Oh,
there's no pinch
you
the
didn't even
nerves.
get through to it. They're not scheduling you. That you have to go to another
They're scheduling me
specialist.
to
Wow.
a more better well known guy that does
Well,
real
that's good. You're
message.
going to have the best of the best. So
4 or 5. Yeah, I have a long thing, but it's your body, and we do the best to take care of it. And people, I was in the military. I drove a truck for 8 years. Janet tell you I wasn't always a psychic medium, but
no, she
I
drove a
haven't
truck.
been doing readings. But I'd love to. We could do that, and it really draws a lot of people to
Right.
these
That'd be a
airwaves.
separate
They're
show.
drawn to it. They're
I am
really,
the time checker, and I want to just tell you we're at 59 minutes and 14
Yeah.
seconds.
TJ, when you do readings, do you hear voices telling you the information, or do you see it around the people? Or because
I
some
open.
mediums, that's what they do. I used to go to the oldest spiritualist church in Chicago.
Wow.
So I've seen a lot of good mediums give out
Yeah.
information.
Yeah, and no, it's really opening up. Like you do it yourself, but all the training I had from death and dying of leaving is like an astral pull up, and then it's almost like you tune into another reality, your higher self or your superposition being, where you blend them together, and that where they are, it's like everything is now. So when you allow yourself to touch that in the now, you can see yourself and everybody else at the same time. It's an amazing thing.
Right.
Some people hear, but no, I've envisioned. I'm a envision psionic person.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know. Everybody.
Bridget Nielsen. Have you all heard of her?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But she used to talk about her hybrid
stayed
children. Now she doesn't like to talk about it.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
Bridget stayed at my house
oh my goodness.
years ago. Yeah, Bridget
Beautiful
was here
girl.
with her dad, and I think they stayed about a month or so.
Yeah, I
We
heard
met
about
her
her.
at the International UFO Congress, which ran for over 20 some years. And that was one of the best conferences. It was very professional, and that ended with COVID. They never came back. They didn't come back, did they, Theresa? UFO Congress, no.
I haven't seen that the last guy he had real estate with his girlfriend, and they were going to keep it going. But Wendell Stevens, was he the one, or the one in Colorado started it? He was the same one that was with Paula Harris. Remember
like
Paula?
She's still doing a lot. Paula
No,
Harris.
that was that other guy that you were talking to for a while. Yeah, Paula broke off and did conferences at the Aquarius Hotel in not up north of Vegas,
where the London Bridge is.
And,
where the London Bridge is.
Yeah, and then Bob Dean was part of the original group establishing the UFO Congress, but I don't see it anymore. I think it's it's gone.
Well, I'm not sure. Now listen, Jesse Marcel, the famous third, may use his. I hope I'm not getting. He always said I could talk about him, so he's thinking not the one that's deceased. Well, he could channel him maybe through three levels.
What are you trying to say?
I interviewed all of them, Brad. I'm one of the few people that have interviewed the original, and then the son and the grandson, the doctor. And
what about George Van Tassel or Georgia
Dancy? I wish I could have. Did George, was he dead when I was alive?
Oh, yeah.
Howard Menger.
Let me look it up. But what were you going to say about the
I love George Van Tassel's work, though. He really was brilliant.
Finish your sentence about what was he going to do? You said I might be overstepping, but he said it's okay to talk about it. Jesse Marcel III, what's he going to do?
Oh yeah, he mentioned to me. Now this was in a DM. He slides in my DMs sometimes. Well, we talk a lot. But it's out of kindred spirit, like with Brad Markus. Some people you're just a kindred spirit. So Jesse, I don't know. I told him, I don't know. I just feel like a star being connection through his relatives, his genes. But he said he's thinking about having his own event. Wouldn't that be marvelous? Because of his name. Yeah, there's his book. I own it too. I own that book. And so people on your spiritual trip, I know y'all can hear me out there. Some of
Yeah,
y'all know who I am, and some of you would
some of
like me to
y'all.
do readings. I know because everybody has something for everybody. Everybody brings a gift. And oh, there's Fairy Godmama. I wonder. Oh,
Oh, I know
absolutely.
about her. I know
Do you?
Fairy Godmama. She's from
Hi,
Las
fairy
Vegas.
godmama.
Hi, she's saying cool. Yeah, really? She's
Yeah, Tai
She's
Chi,
a
check her
ascended
out.
master person too. She knows about
Oh,
the ascended master.
oh, Tai Chi. I love Tai Chi. That's one thing I need to do
oh,
for my.
she's saying for you to try Tai Chi
I-
walking.
Oh, believe me, I know Tai Chi is better than walking because
Now,
you can
have you
stand in
tried the
place.
Tai Chi
Oh,
walking
oh
that they're
yeah,
advertising? Does
oh
that
yeah,
help
I
your
love Tai Chi.
condition?
I, I need to
Okay,
start doing
George
it now.
Van Tassel,
Thank
he
you, Fairy
died
God.
in 1978. George Van
My Fairy
Tassel
Godmama.
was,
Her told
wait,
me.
wait, wait, I'm giving you a report. George Van Tassel was born in 1910 and died in 1978. And he was known for the big rock, the giant rock out there.
I went to
Um,
it. I've been
I went
there.
to it too. I've been there too.
I
Yeah,
heard
and
myself echo.
do do do.
Yeah,
Yeah, right. You go to the
the sound.
Integratron in Landers, California,
I
a
did
large
that.
dome. I went there too. That if you go to Contact in the Desert, they have trips out to Giant Rock, and I think Contact in the Desert is coming up in June, right? Yeah. So,
Sometime soon. I don't know the exact
are
date.
you going to go to that, Mark and
Uh,
Brad?
No, no. I don't have the money to
No.
go back and forth to all these events.
Oh, come
okay,
on.
Fairy Godmama. The Fairy Godmama. She had to leave, but she said
I know.
UFOs, yes, later, folks. But she said, "Oh no,
Later,
Saint
folks.
Germain, they're not mediums. They read screens carefully. The
Right.
ether and psychic are different." So, in her mind, the way that she's fairy godmama, she says different people see different things, and like I didn't hear.
Exactly.
So,
I could
we call
explain
it the screen of the
it to
mind. That's
you.
what we call it, the screen of the mind. But she says psychics and mediums are different, but there are psychic mediums. So I was always called a psychic medium because I see and talk the same way.
So,
But
what's the
yeah,
difference between a
fantastic
psychic
start.
and a psychic medium? That's a question.
It's like splitting ETs and aliens. It's really not that. Psyche means soul. So if you study the word psyche, you can look it up, Janet, and then look up
I'm
medium.
looking it up right now.
But psyche came from the word soul, the way I was trained when the old women of the mountains, I guess you'd say, uh, in Texas and also Kentucky and also in
Okay,
Hawaii. I went to Hawaii. Go
psychic
ahead.
medium is someone who can communicate with spirits of deceased or non-physical being. So, I am a psychic medium, but I have no control. I can't sit down and you say, "Can I talk to my mother who died?" And I have no control over it. But sometimes ghosts come to me and they wake me up and I see ghosts. I will confess, I see ghosts, and I've seen them all my
Well,
life.
see if you can break it down in a psychic versus medium is what a lot of people, and I don't know why we got into that because a lot of people in the spiritual community will take one, it's ontology, the study of being. You can look up
Uh-huh.
ON
Yeah.
ontology. But in our world, in the spiritual world, because just like churches, they all take one thought and split it into different words to mean different things and feel like the culture accepts it in their way only. And so they'll split. So you have to really get down to communication, which I run American Communications Online. So I can pay for this out of my pocket, which is how I am able to produce this because it's sort of expensive every month. It's getting more expensive to cut all the little guys out. So if you've got a blog right now and a TV podcast and you can pay for it, good for you. And the more that you syndicate, the better you'll get. Now, soul's consciousness, that's something we could do. But next week, we're going to have serious
See,
politics with Stephen. We're going to go on a
Stephen
different
Bassett is coming back. Yay.
disclosure, not by higher selves for contact, but she wants us to talk about UFOs, not so much Saint Germain.
Who,
But that was
who's wanting us to
fairy
talk about
fairy
that?
godmama. She wants us to talk about UFOs. I think she's gone now,
Okay.
so she's
Well,
gone. Oh, where'd
we'll
Brad
get more into
go?
UFOs next week. He dropped off. Maybe he'll come back on. But we should wrap up because our downloads are too big.
Too long, over an hour, 50 minutes.
It's 1 minute and 8 seconds. Yeah.
All
so
right.
we can wrap it up.
We'll talk more about higher selves and death and dying and what color the aliens are. I think it was a good show. We go places.
Good show.
We're spontaneous.
Yeah, that was a
Janet and I've been doing this so long, we just bounce off of each other. So there won't be any dead air if you come see us.
No, not on our show.
Hopefully you'll like us and talk about us. You can find Janet on Aquarian Media. She has thousands already. I don't, because I have about 1,000 YouTubes under different topics and different names. But right now I'm live. Janet, you always ask me where it went. So I've got one that says TJ Morris Show, ET Talk TV, Alien Contact Public, with an older picture with long white hair and bangs. That one's on. And I've got American Communications Online is public and live right now. And I've got Theresa J. Morris Alien Contactees Public. It's got my TJ Morris ET Entertainment World logo on it. So, and we'll keep doing this. And so Aquarian Media is Janet, Theresa TJ Morris. I put TJ because my name is Theresa Jeanette. Nobody ever remembers. I don't know why people can't remember ET Talk. There's not a lot of people that really put that out there. But Janet's been Aquarian Media since 2012. So she went with did you go with Aquarius?
I had Aquarian Radio, which we made media because we're doing podcasts. We're not just doing radio. But we started doing these in 2012. Yeah. And then the podcast came along. So it wasn't audio-visual at first. It was just audio. And that's how long we've been doing this. But anyway, we're here. We're here every Friday. We might be here on Wednesday. If somebody has an interesting topic and they get us.
Melinda Claire was listening.
Hi, Melinda.
Hi, Melinda.
Yeah, we're going to sign off now. We'll talk to you later. Anyway,
Melinda. Melinda may want to come on. And she's got melanin in her skin, a little deeper than mine. And you don't really get a sunburn, to tell you the truth, of that melanin. So that melanin's good stuff. Okay. All right. Brad says add to stage. Okay. I'll try that.
Add him back so we can say goodbye.
All right, Brad, there you are.
Brad,
I logged out by mistake because.
Oh shoot!
Oh, well, Melinda Claire is our New Jersey girl, and she loves to co-host, so she can come on and do some Black AT aliens with us if she wants to. That's a good thing. But Melinda will look up research. She loves to do anything. So she says she'd love to come on the show. So we ought to start doing Wednesdays for women. But if it's still 8:00 Eastern, 7 Central, so that 7 is good. But Janet, do you oppose Melissa and Melinda on Wednesdays? Wednesday?
We'll talk about all this later because I have to.
We make you in
Wednesday. We have to schedule appointments with doctors at our age. But I think Wednesdays are pretty good. Anyway, let's talk schedule later. That's boring. That's what we're going to do.
Wishful Wednesday. We're wishing we can do Wednesday again too.
Wise Women's Wednesday. Anyway, I don't want to exclude men.
I said wishful. We can do wishful Wednesday.
Right.
What time on Wednesday? Well, we have a discussion group at a bookstore called Hexa.
On Wednesday.
What time is it?
Yeah, 5:30 till 8 Central Time at this bookstore called Hexa House. It used to be called Alchemy Arts.
Oh wow, Hexa House.
Yeah, Wednesdays are a popular night. Thursdays is.
We should have. Janet, have them get some of your books. The owner's name is Dana. It's a young lady. She took it over for an older guy. He got dementia, so he couldn't keep it going. But I want her to check out some of your and Sasha's books, which I need to check them out too.
Yeah.
Check out my daughter's book. My daughter's.
Oh, right.
Ginger Theresa Parrish Bowers.
Yeah. Spirit Guide.
She was a very lovely lady. I got to know her a little bit.
Very beautiful
Anyway,
girl.
let's
right.
log off because I got to go
All
take
right.
care
So
of
we're maybe
Louise.
we're
I have a
definitely going to have
dementia
Melissa.
girl at my house. I have a lady with dementia, my sister. She's 77. She's got dementia.
Yeah.
I
Well,
really
folks,
feel for people that are suffering from dementia or Alzheimer's or have to take care of people because it's really,
My mother has it. I understand.
yeah. So I'm looking for disclosure because I think that the cure for dementia and all those things are right there, just right there. Yeah. All right, let's sign off. I got to go take care of my sweet little. My sister's shrinking too. My mother
all right.
shrunk really tiny, so she's down to 94 pounds. But she's a sweet, wonderful soul, and I got to go pay attention to her a little bit here.
All right.
All right.
Yeah, we have time to come back and visit everybody on usually Fridays, maybe Wednesdays, Thursdays, or Saturdays. It depends. We got Melissa Morton coming on Wednesday or Friday, Saturday.
Right here Friday, not this
and-
coming Friday. Next Friday is Steve Bassett.
Steve Bassett, politics.
So, Theresa, how can they contact you if they want to? Well, let's just, I don't know, give an email.
A calendar, sure. TJ Mars Show. It's very easy to remember. It's a show, and if you want to be on it, it's in iCloud. So TJ Mars Show at iCloud, which is owned by Apple, iCloud, iCloud.com.
And
So
I have
TJ Mars Show in the iCloud.com at.
and I have Janet Lessin, JanetLessin @gmail.com. If you want to come on the show, let us know, and we'll.
And Brad
see if we
Markus
can
too, but Brad's is hard to say. Brad, yours is Supernova 77.
Supernova Raw 77 at
Supernova Raw.
yahoo.com. Yeah,
I
one
love it.
word. There's another one, MBRADO695, gmail.com.
All
Oh, I
right.
don't have that one. Let me write it down. BR, what is it, Brad? BR.
Nope, it starts with the M. MBRAD0695, Gmail.
At Gmail. Great.
Okay, I got it. I like Gmail because all my computers and equipment prefer Gmail in all those subscription lists that keeps them. All right, folks. Well, we love y'all coming by. We can't do it without you. So thank you all y'all that tuned in, especially Fairy Grad Mama, Antiques Mantics, and Melinda Claire, all of y'all, thank y'all for Facebook and live stream and YouTube. So y'all come back now, you hear?
Yeah, back. Aloha.
Aloha, Janet.
Aloha.
Thank you, Brad. You're
And we have to stay on so the recording will work. So just
Oh,
you
that's
can
great.